During his first 2 years in the big leagues, Anthony Volpe was a generally poor-hitting shortstop with occasional pop, some decent base running, and a far above-average glove, leading to some solid value totals and some pretty encouraging development for a player in his early 20s. But then 2025 happened, and Anthony proceeded to have what I'm going to assert is the worst season by a true everyday regular player in the big leagues. What's my reasoning behind this? Well, among guys who appeared in at least 150 contests, Anthony was either last or second to last in hits, batting average, on-base percentage, OPS, OPS plus, and Baseball Reference's batting runs. This is a guy who barely hit over the Mendoza line while striking out nearly 1 time a game and not even managing to reach 20 home runs in the process. In fact, the only player who was arguably worse at the plate who appeared in roughly as many games was Ke'Bryan Hayes, who actually offers a perfect segment into our next portion of the analysis, because, you see, the key difference between them was what they did with their glove. Hayes produced tied for the 5th best total in the entire major leagues in fielding run value at 17, in the same range as guys like Bobby Witt Jr., Pete Crow Armstrong, Mason Wynn, and Ceddanne Rafaela. He was downright certifiably elite. Meanwhile, Volpe committed a league-worst 19 errors up the middle, and while I personally don't put a ton of stock into that stat, he was also bottom 5 in fielding runs at his position with -5. This included a run in the middle of the season where he was seemingly making a horrible play every single day. And in big series too, like versus Toronto, contributing to multiple losses that ended up resulting in the Yankees having to play as a wildcard team by year's end instead of a division winner. And don't worry, we'll get to his playoff performance in a second. The last category of disappointment came with his legs, which had always yielded some elite results, including a combined 52 stolen bases in his first couple of campaigns, but in 2025 regressed down to just 18, with a career-high 8 caught stealings. A 69.2% success rate that placed him second to last among all players who managed to appear in at least those 150 games and swipe at least 15 bags. And while he was still good in the advanced capacity, being worth 2 base running runs per Baseball Savant, this was still the worst mark of his career, and less than half of what he had in 2024. Finally, we come to his playoff numbers. This is where his struggles really hit another level, because, you see, following a 4-hit performance in the wildcard series that also featured a home run, a great showing overall undoubtedly, Volpe proceeded to become the first player since 2013 Austin Jackson to strike out at least 11 times in a 4-game playoff series with an OPS of 200 or less, registering just 1 hit in that time while not managing to draw even a single walk. The only argument I could see against giving him the title as the worst everyday player would be the WAR one, as he ranked 10th worst in this stat per Baseball Reference at 1.6, again among those who played in at least 150 games, and 4th worst per Fangraphs at 1.0. But that ignores how WAR is calculated, as it features a huge component that simply gives you credit based on the position you play, meaning that Anthony received a ton of added value by simply appearing as a shortstop, even if, as we've already established, he was downright terrible at it. When you consider this and everything else that I've listed, I have to say that I think his starting spot going forward in New York has to be in a good bit of jeopardy, as it seemingly can't get much worse for the former top prospect than it did in 2025. Alright everybody, if you made it this far, I appreciate you watching, and if you did, consider checking out any of these other videos on your screen right now for other content just like this. Also, if you ever see anything you'd like to see me detail in the video, feel free to reach out to my email, basebpoet@gmail.com, and if I end up using your idea, I'll give you a shout out. Thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your day.